Namaste. Let's go live on another bicycle live stream. It's Sunday, the 9th of August at 7:20 a.m. It's a crisp 14 degrees out here. I've ridden 30 kilometres and I'm riding in a winter's morning that can be best described as extreme clarity. It's magnificent. I'll be uploading photos later for you to take in what I've been enjoying since just after 5 a.m. this morning. So, as I head home in this amazing winter's morning, I want to talk about hurt. Understanding hurt is today's topic, and it's one that I'm sure you're going to find very interesting. A lot of people are going to resonate with. And it's sort of a continuation or a follow-on or an expansion of live stream I was doing last weekend where I was talking about our need for approval as the elephant in the room, dictating our behaviour, and something that we don't usually admit to because it seems like it might be indicative of an extreme weakness. So, what is hurt? Hurt is an emotion that stems from a way of thinking about ourselves. It's our response to experiences that we've had. Now, I'm going to concentrate on childhood hurt and the compounding behavioural conditions that can develop from the way that we respond to those experiences early on in our life. So the experiences that we have as a child, the way that we are treated as a child are crucial, especially up to the age of 7, in a way of thinking, our way of coping, our way of seeing the world, our way of interacting with others, and interestingly, the way we interact with ourselves. Depending on what levels of wisdom we were already connected with at a young age, will determine our response to the way we were treated. If we were treated in what can best be described as a poor manner, if we were treated poorly, if we were criticised, condemned, belittled, if we were the recipient of the venom of a significant person in our life, maybe our parents or our guardians or our elder or possibly even teachers at school or possibly other family members or neighbours, if we were the recipient of their venom, it's very important to understand first off that it wasn't about us. We were just, in a way, a sounding board for their lack of inner peace. And we were an easy target. Young kids are an easy target, and I've seen this sadly many times when parents take it out on their children for things that the parents are not coping with. And how we respond to that is crucial. Now, as adults, we can look back with hindsight and adult wisdom, and we can sort of analyse how we might have handled those situations. But it doesn't mean that we have the power to change those situations, but it means we have the power now to reframe the way we understand, the way we handled our mistreatment. We can reframe it, and we can benefit from forgiveness, forgiving ourselves and forgiving others. So what is really crucial here in relation to our need for approval is the way that we responded to mistreatment towards us determines the strength of our need for approval. And this is a governing factor, and it is crucial in how we move through our life as an adult. Our need for approval has such control over us, I guess you could say, that until we get a handle on it, an understanding of it, a way of releasing its power over us, until we get that, then we are pretty much controlled by something that we've set up as a thought pattern, which becomes entrenched as a behavioural pattern at a very young age. We develop an inappropriate need, or a sort of an overbalanced need to be liked and to be loved, and it becomes such a critical factor in the way that we relate to ourselves, and therefore the way that we relate to other people. The behavioural patterns that come from our need for approval will, to a large extent, actually determine our success in life and our failures in life. It will determine whether we are setting ourselves up for failure, whether we are self-sabotaging, or whether we are at a state of peace within ourselves, that we realise our self-worth. So if we go back to self-worth, imagine that let's paint a picture, and imagine that you're young, say in your maybe, any age between birth and say 10 years old, that sort of age range. Now you're very, very impressionable to your environment. You very much, the environment you're in is your normal. So the way your parents treat you, your elders, your teachers, your relatives, that is your normal. You look at that as a youngster and you don't say it, but you absorb it as your normal. This is what is considered normal. And this is why it is crucial, and why I believe, and have said before, that there should be a thing called a parent test, because we are so reactive at that young age to the environment that we're in, that if there's not a maturity and responsibility from those that are taking care of us, then it just has such a determining effect on how we end up living our life and our success and failure in life. So imagine that you've got one parent telling you that you're a failure, that you'll never amount to anything, that there's something wrong with you, that you're ugly, you're fat, you're skinny, you're whatever it is that they're taking out on you, that is their baggage. You're hearing and you're believing that. You're very impressionable at that age. Your reaction and response to it is to believe it. So you've got one parent telling you this, and you've got the other parent doing the opposite. The other parent loving you, trying to overcompensate. The other parent is trying to overcompensate for the mistreated behaviour coming from the other parent. One parent is trying to overcompensate for the behaviour of the other parent. They're not happy about it, their partner's behaviour, but they've been unable to communicate that to their partner. And therefore the way that they try and make it up to the child is by being extremely loving, and almost too loving if there's such a thing. This sets up a very interesting situation in which we start to have a great craving, needing to feel love from the parent that is criticising us, whilst at the same time possibly developing an over-attachment to the one that does tell us they love us. You see how this is not what you would call a balanced way of relating. You're ending up as a young kid, you're ending up rather confused. You're not sure if you are worthy of love, and you're not really sure where it needs to come from, and you're hanging on to any approval you can get in a overcompensating way. So you will tend to hang on to the approval coming from the parent who is showing you that they love you, but it'll be an overcompensation. So that in itself won't be balanced. And at the same time, you'll be harboring and developing a resentment towards the parent that is critical. And as a early childhood coping mechanism, you may actually become very, very proficient at disguising that and at presenting to the world a very capable person. As you grow up, as you become an adult that is then responsible for relating to other people, for creating a family unit, you are still carrying within you these subconscious behavioural patterns that have been implanted at such a young age that you have become so proficient at developing routines that make it seem like they're not there, that these then carry on into the family unit you develop. And sadly, studies have shown that we tend to repeat a lot of negative behavioural patterns in the way that we tend to, in the way that we've been treated. We tend to then throw that treatment, even though we've disguised that we are in a state of hurt, we tend to throw that treatment towards people that we can easily get away with it with. In other words, when we have kids, we tend to do that to our kids. We tend to project our hurt onto them. We can get away with it. Sadly, they become easy victims. So, what I want you to think about is, in your own life, what levels of hurt have you been carrying from developmental age? What effect has that had on your successes or failures in life? And how can you move forward knowing this, and knowing that perhaps your need for approval is not a balanced one. It's overcompensating for a feeling of lack of self-worth. My suggestion is that we become aware of something much deeper and completely permanent in relation to our self-worth. That is, we, with wisdom, realize that we were the recipient of a parent or a guardian who was carrying their own hurt and projecting it onto us, onto an easy target, and we separate that person from their action and realize that they were hurting, and we feel compassion towards them. We forgive them, we release them, and in releasing them, we release ourselves, and we give back to ourselves the power that we threw away. Because when we no longer have a need, a ridiculous overcompensating need for approval from others, when we no longer have that, we bring back this sense of peace within ourselves and power and control. And you'll know it when you feel it. You'll know it. You won't always be on the lookout for someone to tell you that you're okay, because you will have reached that point of understanding and peace within yourself. The way to do that permanently is a spiritual understanding. It's always the answer. An understanding that comes from eternal love that says, as I've said many times before, that no matter what we do, no matter what we say, we are always unconditionally loved. That we are always approved in a spiritual level. It's a beautiful thing when you realize it, absorb it, and feel it. It changes your life. I'm hoping you have a great Sunday, that you live vegan and save lives, and I'll speak with you soon. Ahimsa.